I failed at trading miserably, blowing account after account until I understood that top-down analysis is key to being a successful trader. Once I implemented top-down analysis, the way I started looking at trading changed completely. Now I've been able to rinse the prop firm industry and create tons of profitable students. So I'm very confident if you add this to whatever strategy that you're trading, whether it's ICT, support, resistance, or breakouts, this will dramatically improve your win rate. So we're going to start off on the H1 and we're going to be on gold. And if you guys are looking for a one-on-one mentorship that's going to hold your hand and take you from where you're at now to becoming a profitable trader in 45 days or less guaranteed, then click the link below, book a call with my team, and let's get you right. So what we're going to do first is something I created called supported demand and resistance supply. So basically what this is in a nutshell is it's a support and resistance zone with supply and demand pushes coming off of it on the higher time frame. Now these zones are very, very strong, right? So we want to trade these zones on the lower time frame. But first, let me show you how to draw them up. So we're going to do the basic support and resistance. Now this is real sauce that I'm giving you that I only really teach my students. I made this about a couple of years ago and I haven't even revealed it on YouTube. So this is some real sauce. Don't skip this. So we're going to look for support and resistance zones. So we can see right here, we have some support and resistance. So let's draw this up right here. Let's draw a couple up. So I have some support and resistance right there. We have some support and resistance right here, right there. We have some right here. Always drag it to the left to see if it makes sense in the left. So we have some support and resistance zones, right? Which these zones are already strong enough to trade off of. But now you want to start looking for zones that have supply and demand pushes coming off of them, which makes them stronger. So if we zoom in, we can see we have a supply push coming off of this zone, right? We have a demand push coming off of this zone. So these two zones right here are very strong. You see right here, we have a demand push coming off these zones. So all these zones are pretty good, right? So if you go back, let's keep looking. Supply push off this zone, supply push, supply push. So these zones that we have right now are very strong, demand push, right? The market is turning around at these zones. So luckily we have very good zones. So now that we have our zones, you're probably thinking, what do we do with these zones, right? I'm not a higher time frame trader. I'm not going to take a trade and be in a trade for weeks and weeks waiting for 4-hour candles or 1-hour candles to play out. Now you can also do this on the H4, the daily, as far as you want to go. The higher the time frame, the stronger the zones, right? So if we go to the 4-hour, we can look and it just looks more cleaner, right? And these zones are a lot stronger. So these are actually very good examples to show you. Now me personally, I really don't like this zone right here. So what I would do is I would remove this zone. Right? It could be a valid zone, but these ones just look a lot better. We got supply and demand zones coming off of these zones. We didn't really have any supply or demand coming off of this zone. We're kind of going right through it, right? So I'm going to delete that one. I would not count that as a supported demand or a resistance supply. That was more just a support and resistance, right? Because we had that resistance right here. So now that we have our supported demand and resistance supply zones, right, now we know which way to trade. So let's go to the 5-minute and we're going to put this in replay mode. Put my kill zones on so I know what time New York session is. If you guys don't know about this indicator, it's called kill zones. You go to indicators, type in kill zones by Oscar VS, and you can get the session that you want highlighted, right? I use New York session, and I recommend you guys to use New York session. So let's replay this back to right here when we touched it. Okay, so we came into this zone, we tapped it, and now that we tapped it, we're waiting for a breaker structure, right? So let's get the breaker structure. Now my breaker structure is right here. Now I look for minor breaker structures. I trade different, right? You trade like everyone else, you're gonna get the same results as everyone else. And in an industry where 90% of traders fail, you don't wanna be doing what everyone else is doing. So just trust me, bro. So we get the breaker structure right here. So now that we have a breaker structure coming off this resistance supply, we know to look for trades down to here, right? So now let's start looking for our trades. So I'm gonna forward this. Okay. I don't see anything right now. Now, if you are a breakout trader, you probably could have took a trade right here, correct? But I am a supply and demand trader, so we're gonna forward this a little bit. Okay, right here. So we have a zone right here. We have a supply and demand zone right here, right? There's a gap right here. We have a breaker structure making a new low. We're coming back to fill the gap. right? The way I like to enter is on break of the candle. So I wouldn't have entered right here where most people would have just entered. I like to wait on break of the candle, right? So me, I'm going to enter as soon as this candle opens up and passes the low of this candle wick. So I'm entering right here, stop loss above the candle, and I'm going for a 1 to 3. Right there, right? So that would be my position. And since we have this resistance supply sitting above and we're coming off of it, I know it's going to give me enough momentum to hit these high risk to reward trades. And it's also letting me know what direction we probably want to go in, right? Because we're rejecting this higher time frame zone. So if we forward it, TP is hit right there, right? But maybe you don't trade supply and demand. Maybe you trade breakouts, right? So like I said before, we could have entered this breakout trade right here. Could have entered as soon as it broke right there. Stops above. Right, get you a 1 to 3. Let's delete this box. Right, so for my breakout traders, you would have hit TP too. Why? Because this zone is going to push us to our TP, right? These zones are very hard to break, but we got to wait for that breaker structure coming off the zone. We don't want to enter as soon as it taps the zone because it needs to take liquidity and stop people out. So we wait for that breaker structure to confirm that we really want to bounce off this and we don't just want to break through on the higher time frame. Right? And then you start looking for your entries. Now you know which way to trade, right? This is how I find the way that I'm going to trade, right? Because there's a lot of videos out there on daily bias and all that shit is bullshit. I'm going to tell you right now. I tried most of it. None of that shit works. This right here is accurate. We're going to bounce off these zones. Every once in a while we'll break through, but most of the time we don't. So if you're a breakout trader, you could enter it right there. If you're a supply and demand trader, you could enter it right here. If you trade support and resistance, let's see if there's support and resistance. Look at support and resistance right here. You could enter it right there, right? Could have got a crazy risk to reward depending on how you put your stop loss on there. So this is good for every strategy, right? I'm not just trying to force my strategy on you. Add this to any strategy that you trade and I'm sure you will get amazing, amazing results. Like let's say you even trade IVFG, right? Inverse fair value gaps. Come on now, bro. Entering right there, stops above the zone. You taking it, bro. So that's multiple different strategies that you can use with this, bro. You don't need to just use my strategy. I'm just here to give you guys game. This should really improve your win rate. Just only take trades off of these zones. And I'm confident that your trading will take the turn for the best. So let's do a recap. We're going to start off on the higher time frames, H1, H4. We're going to mark up support and resistance zones. And after we mark up all of our support and resistance zones, then we're going to start removing the zones that don't have a supply or demand push coming off of it on the higher time frame, right? Remember, we had a zone up here, but it didn't have any supply or demand pushes coming off of it like this zone did, right? So we removed it. Now we're only dealing with the highest probability zones. So once we find those, we go to the 5-minute and we start looking for our entries coming off of this zone. Remember, we need to have a breaker structure first to confirm that we want to come down from this zone and come tap this zone, right? You can see right here, when we tap this zone, what happens? We turn around and we go to the next zone, right? So we're ping-ponging between these zones so we can catch these trades. Like I said, if you're a breakout trader, right? We got a breakout right here, enter right there, stops below, right? You eating all day, you eating straight to the next zone, right? Doesn't matter what you trade, these zones will change the game for you. And if you can't make this work, maybe try drop shipping, bro, because I'm giving you the sauce right here. This is literally what I teach my students. And if you want a reliable broker that you can trade MT4 on, then you're going to want to go with Henko Trade. I've been with them for years and they're the only ones that I trust with a large amount of money. So I'll put my affiliate links down below. If you want to trade with the people that I recommend, then go to the description, click that link and sign up. Let's get back to the video. Okay, so now let's do like a quick little back test where we're just going to look in the past and see how many times this actually worked out, because some of you guys might be thinking, hey, it's just worked out this day, it might not work out any other day. Now, of course, nothing is 100%, right? You're not going to win every single trade no matter what zones you have, but you're going to see just how valuable these zones are right now. So you can see no matter what strategy you used, you would have won, you would have ate this day, right? It just went straight through. Let's go to the previous day and let's see what happens when we tap the zone. Okay, so we tapped the zone right here. What happened? You know, I'm a supply and demand trader. Draw your supply and demand zone, drag it out, and look what happens. Almost stopped out, but if you trade like me, I enter on break of the candle, which we would have entered right there, stops above, right? Money, all the way straight down to the next zone. Beautiful, 1 and 3. Let's say you entered up here, Okay, stops a little bit above, like I always say. Always give it a little bit of breathing room. That's a 1 of 6 right there. So work this day, you would have 8. So now let's say maybe you're a breakout trader. Trend line, break, stops above, get your 1 of 4, call it a day. Fire, right? So everything's looking good on that front. Yeah. So let's go to the next day. You can see we bounce off this zone, fly right up. This is not even in New York session. Look at this. Close to being stopped out, but if you enter like I do on break of the candle, you wouldn't have to worry about any drawdown. You would have been good. Straight. TP's getting hit left and right. And that's in Asia session. That's not even in New York session. You can see right here on this zone, Asia session too. I'm not even counting the Asia ones, but we just look at them right here. Breakout traders, boom, straight to the next zone. Look how accurate this is. This is just 2 days that we're catching crazy trades. Now there will be days where you lose, right? We tapped this, we came down. If you're a breakout trader, you made money today. So if you're a breakout trader, you could have got you a 1 or 2. But other than that, you taking that out today, right? Supply and demand, we would have entered right here. We would have lost right here, but I entered on break of the candle. So actually, we would have never even got an entry, right? Because it never broke the candle low. So we never would have got an entry right here. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to the next day. Okay, this day was horrible. Nobody won on this day. Like, what is this? How are we wicking to the bottom and wicking to the top, stopping everyone out? This is manipulation. Nobody is winning this day. I don't care what zone you have. Even though, you know, our zones did work out, right? Because we're respecting the zones. You would have to wait till after this happened to start catching a setup, which we could have caught one right here, right? Supply and demand. Enter on break of the candle right there, stops below, hitting TP right here for a 1 or 2. So these zones are very strong. So if you've been getting stopped out on your supply and demand zones and you wonder why I be making so much money, it's because I use these zones, and now I'm finally bringing it to YouTube to help you guys out. So let's just keep going. All right, so we go to the next day. So we can see, right, if we're trading breakouts, we get that breakout right there. Stops above, swing high right there. 1 of 4 hit, right? I can't make this up. You guys are seeing it right in front of your face. Now we're doing supply and demand. See, got a gap right here, right? We're taking this one. Entry on break of the candle right there. Stops a little bit above, right? We're getting our 1 or 2. Eating, back to back. It's really nothing to it. Breakout traders have been killing it lately, right? And I also do have a breakout strategy for my mentorship students too, right? Killing it. Eating all day. I can't make this shit up. Like, we can just keep going, bro. Like, this is the last day I'm gonna do because I'm not gonna be here all day. Look at this. Supply and demand right here. Boom. Hitting TP. Flying all the way up. Stupid numbers, right? Doing ridiculous things. Right here, we enter on break of the candle right there. Stops below. Right, we eating. This shit's going all the way up. 1 to 6 right there. Come on now, bro. You could have even caught another demand setup right here. And how do we know to look for demand? Because our zones are telling us to. So if I put this up, right, delete this one, right, we can enter right here and eat all fucking day, bro. Look at this. Break of the candle entry. Stops below. We eating. Back-to-back setups. You can't make this up. There's another setup right here. Look at this. So I'm trying to tell you, how do we know to look for buys instead of sells? Because the higher time frame supported demand or resistance supply is telling us which way to trade. We enter on break of the candle again. Look at this, eating back to back to back. And you guys wonder why I get the results I get. It's because of these higher time frame zones. So implement this into your trading strategy and you're going to see amazing results. And we didn't even talk about the breakout traders. Come on now, breakout traders. We entering right here, we break, stops below, we eating. Come on now, bro. We can't make this shit up. I saved this shit for my mentorship students, but now I'm bringing it to YouTube. If you guys want to know the elite tricks that have changed my life, join my mentorship. It's guaranteed, meaning if you're not profitable in 45 days or less, then I'm going to teach you one-on-one until you become profitable. You cannot leave my group until you're getting consistent payouts. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys gained some knowledge. Hope you guys really change your trading with this. I'll see you guys in the next one.